Fitzgerald is the best in the business. You know, people have different businesses. People do different things in the world. Craig Fitzgerald is a strength coach, and he's the best strength coach that there is in America. And that's like, you know, in whatever it is you're trying to do in life, that seems to be the goal. And so it's really a privilege to have you here. For the kids, in terms of football and training, it's a privilege to have you here. And also, it's just like I'm kind of extra nostalgic because personally, I mean, Coach, you know, we've talked about it, but a huge mentor of me, and then not just in college, but, you know, we've stayed in touch, and you've been just like an absolute wealth of knowledge and perspective and just, you know, love and trust.
Well, I appreciate being here with everybody. And obviously, you know, Carl is extremely biased about his strength coach, which I appreciate. And I think strength coaches in general mark a time period in athletes' lives where, you know, it's a good time period. It's where they're, you know, in college or in high school or in the pros, and they're developing. And I was just excited always to be a part of that. So I think Carl said best, there's a feeling nostalgia as a strength coach, you're associated with that. So a little bit of a glow that maybe you don't deserve that you get. But there's so many good strength coaches out there. I'm real proud to be in the field. And the most, you know, probably proud I am is of the former athletes I've had, including Carl and all the different stops. That makes me the happiest when I see them all grown up, you know, for lack of a better term, and doing great things like what Carl and this crew's doing here. Absolutely.
Coach, what we do on these, well, we're figuring out what we're doing on these calls. So we're basically going to be 3 parts. The first is we have a couple standard stock questions we're asking everybody. And then I did want to have you kind of break down what you're doing with Mac and kind of at large what you think kids should be doing right now. And then we asked the Flagstar kids if they wanted to send a question in, and you're a popular guy. There were a lot of questions. So
I'm really excited about. I'm most excited about that. I want to hear what the young athletes have to ask. That's exciting for me. So we'll do the other part, but I'm really excited about that.
Great. Then let's get into it. You are the head strength coach now for the New York Giants. What's the role? So there's like, you know, what you do, what you say you do, and then what you actually do on a day-to-day basis. What's the role day in, day out of a strength coach in a program?
Just the role in general is obviously the term is strength and conditioning. I think it's a broader field than that. So I think it's all athletic preparation, in all honesty. So you're talking about flexibility, you're talking about nutrition, recovery, obviously strength and conditioning, but speed, agility, you know, football specific or tennis specific or basketball specific movement, whatever sport you're focused on. So it's really a broad field and gets broader every time. I would say with all the Zoom stuff we're doing now, you could argue that I'm also an IT manager, and Carl can get a laugh at that because he knows I don't know my way around the computer very well. But yeah, the role is always expanding. It's whatever you can do, but at the heart of it is athletic preparation.
And as you're transitioning into this new job with the Giants, Coach, and congrats on that, by the way. And
thanks, Evan.
Being fellow Terps, we're people with many monikers, you know, Fear the Turtle, and then a bunch of other ones that my memory fails me. Protect This House. That's one of your buddies' original ones, right? Kevin Plank's. Regardless, whether it be a moniker or a bedrock value, what are you taking into your new weight room?
I would say when you go to a new facility, new weight room, new team, you just want to make it so it's about effort. It's about being a team firster. It's about having the right character. And you want that, you know, for yourself, first of all. Hey, what can they expect out of you? You know, before you say, hey, what can I expect out of you? Hey, what can you expect from me? And that would be, I just want to go in there and try and be a hard worker and try and give the best effort I can to help these guys maximize their ability as players. So it's really a service job, Evan. I mean, you're trying to help these guys be the best they can be, or girls, whoever it is, because I've been doing this a long time, and, you know, some of my best experiences have been with the women's teams, women's basketball, volleyball, tennis, and just trying to be, hey, how can I help you be the best athlete you can be?
Coach, I also, and so this is the question, and we're asking this to pull out lessons for the kids, because if anyone has shed their ego, I mean, you're an egoless guy. But to focus on you for a second, having seen behind the curtain of all levels of college football, pro football, if you could restart your Craig Fitzgerald athletic career, your 12, 13, 14, what would you do different knowing what you know now?
Oh, that's man, that one hits you square in the eyes. You know, if you're a person that it focuses, points at achievement, wants to be as good as they can be, like all of us do, like all the flag star participants are. I mean, it's the same thing. You're always going to look back and say, what could I have done better? This is one lesson I'd like to impart. Never listen to the people that tell you can't do something. And this is really important. People use the old, hey, this is reverse psychology, this, that, and there. I'm trying to help this guy, but I don't believe in that. I believe people meet your expectation. So if somebody comes to me and they're a walk-on player at Maryland or Tennessee or Penn State or Harvard, and they come in and say, hey, I want to be a starting defensive end, and I know what that takes to do that, and I look at them and I say, man, it's going to be a long shot. I don't think you can do it. Well, then they're not going to do it in my mind. But if I say, hey, man, look, here's what it's going to take. You're going to have to work really hard. If you think working just as hard as the starting defensive end is going to get you there, it's not going to happen. But if you work harder than that guy, well, you have a chance to make that happen. And I just like to always leave the door open. I wish I believed in myself more as a player, and I think I would have had a better career. I wasn't good enough to be J.J. Watt. Okay, you have to also be realistic. But I think I think when you don't believe in yourself as much as you should, you'll never achieve what you could be. So I would just say, you young players out there, believe in yourself. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it, and just keep pushing, and you never know.
Coach, before we get to the kids' questions, here's one thing that I learned my freshman year, my first day at Harvard, was I walked into the weight room and I watched you have the guys working. And I remember my first feeling was regret, was that I saw that there was this level of intensity that was happening in this kind of corner of the world that I hadn't seen. And I remember walking in and thinking, if I had known that people were training this hard right now, I would have started doing this 4 years ago. I thought I was working hard, and then I kind of got to see what everyone else was doing. So in order to maybe save kids time, or save kids, time thinking they're working hard or not doing what they could, maybe you could intimidate us a little bit with what you and Mac's strength program is right now, but also enlighten us about, best practices or what a young athlete could be doing while they're home.
Yeah. So, over the years, different countries, different sports federations have always tried to how do we develop an athlete from a very young age to peaking out at their professional or max amateur career. So, it's been studied, it's been looked at, and a good way to really approach it is try and get a wide base of athletic training early on. So, you don't focus on just one aspect of it. So as a young athlete, and that includes anywhere from 8 to 15 or 16 years old, you should try and participate in as many sports as you can. Okay. You shouldn't focus on athletic preparation as much as you should focus on playing sports. Squatting, pressing, and pulling. Those are the 3 foundational movements in a weight room. If you can do those 3, don't worry about doing bicep curls or tricep pushdowns. That's for old people like me. That's when you want to look good in a t-shirt at best, okay? But really, the squatting, pressing, pulling are the keys to athletic foundational strength movements. When you go to the field, there's 3 other movements you want to do on the field or the court. Whether you're a volleyball athlete who wants to get a scholarship to Stanford, or you're a football player that wants to play at Catholic University in Washington, D.C., you're going out, you're jumping, you're sprinting, and you're cutting. Those 3 movements. What's a jump? Just jumping up, reaching and touching, or jumping up, tucking your knees to chest. Sprinting could be getting in your position stance for your flag football team and sprinting 10 to 20 yards really hard, okay? And the cutting movement. And it mimics what you would do on the football field with change of direction we're talking about flag star football right now. So that could be, 5 yards to the right, 10 yards to the left, 5 yards to the middle. Or if you have some cones, making a square, a 5x5 square, and going to one cone, going the other direction to, cone C, sprinting to cone D, and finishing through cone A, making a box with that. That's fine too. So again, weight room, okay, squatting, pressing, pulling, field work, jumping, sprinting, cutting, and there you have it. If you can be consistent on those, you're going to be a much better player.
And then all this is the same thing. Like I could have my daughter doing this. She's maybe a couple months away from the 100 meters, but you would say same thing, boys and girls.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I learned that early in my career as a strength coach when I was at University of Maryland, right, Evan? Dirty Terps, baby. Okay. So when we were at University of Maryland, I was a football assistant strength coach, but I was a head women's volleyball strength coach. And some of the football guys, when they got under the barbell and squat, were, oh man, this is really heavy today. And you're getting ready to say a few things to them. Some of the women's volleyball players, you had to tell them that you were going to do a little less weight, and they would get mad at you because they were very competitive. They wanted to go really hard. So gender is never the deciding factor. It's person to person. I've had some volleyball players that were tough as nails.
Hi, Coach Fitz. I'm Nikki, and I'm from Washington, D.C. And my question is, how would you compare the SEC to the Big Ten strength-wise?
Nick, you're getting me in trouble right there. I like your Wisconsin Badgers shirt, so I know which way you're leaning towards, okay? Yeah, and I can't argue that, and especially with Evan here, who's now a Big Ten guy. Used to be an ACC guy, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
carefully, Coach. No, kid.
I know. I will say this, and that's a great question, and because both of those leagues are well represented in the national championship race, the Final Four, right? And they're both well represented in the upcoming draft. They will be. They're always well represented in the upcoming draft. Okay, and they're powerful conferences. And I would say it's by position. I don't want to take the easy way out here, but if you're looking at those leagues, man, it's hard to. The Big Ten offensive linemen are really, really good. They're really good. They take a lot of pride in that. I think, and there's Evan right there. He's liking that a little bit, but also, the nice matchup is when those two leagues play each other, you got the Big Ten offensive linemen go against those SEC pass rushers, and man, that is the best matchup because those SEC pass rushers are really good. Okay. And, Carl chose Harvard over all those SEC teams because he was really an SEC pass rusher himself. Both leagues are the creme de creme. They are the best, Big Ten and SEC all the way. Can't make a call there. I really can't. It's by position. And if you look at the Final Fours, they're both well represented.
Great. All right. Our second question coming up.
Alex
I knew I was getting bombed here.
Fitz, a.k.a. the Fit Dog. Coach, first up, at Flagstar, you've got a bunch of young athletes who are out working hard on the field, getting better and having fun, who don't have a lot of experience in the weight room. What's the most important thing for these young folks to keep in mind as they start breaking into working on their strength and that technique? Second, Coach, you're about to step up onto the platform, max out on power cleans, pulling real heavy weight. What song you've blaring over the speakers loud as can be to get you psyched up? And finally, what's the most ridiculous thing Coach Carl did while at Harvard that made him have to do burpees?
Oh, man. Again, a three-parter from one of my old Harvard guys, of course, right? Alex Spizak, one of the best of the best right there. 385 power cleaner with me and went on to 405 without me after. Best of the best. So, geez, I knew I was going to get bombed in this thing, and I did by Alex.
I can almost guess your pump-up song, Coach.
Yeah, well, here we go. Number one, hey, if you're focusing on training, okay, again, nutrition, recovery, and consistency. You got to be consistent, okay? It doesn't matter as much what you're doing, but how you're doing it. So be consistent in all you're doing, okay? Second question was, what song am I listening to? Probably AC/DC, It's a Long Way to the Top.
I was going to say Hell's Bells, man.
I know. It's the same band. I've gotten older, though, right? I went a little softer in the end there. The last question, what was the last question? I forget what the last one was, but we're going to tell a Carl Ulrich story. That's it. Okay. First of all, we're going to tell we're going to tell the Carl Oak story for burpees.
Can you remember an instance where you made me do burpees or what that was for?
You know what? I don't remember that, but I do remember this. On Fridays, we had our big squat day, and Carl was our leader, our team captain. And if a guy came in with his shirt untucked on a Friday, Carl would make sure that he had to have his shirt. Everybody had his shirt tucked in. If you came in with your shirt untucked, he was making the guy do up downs right there, just about 5 of them, 5 burpees. And he would tell the guy, "What do you think this is? Casual Friday? Nothing casual about today." And so that was Carl's line, and it kind of set the tone. It was fun. It was a good way to lead because it was fun, but it was also setting the tone like, hey, we're just not trying to get through this workout, even though it's Friday. This is still important. We're going to lift heavy and work really hard.
And Coach, can you remember what Carl's pump up song was? Because now I'm just quizzing you because I know it off the top of my head.
I think I'm trying to think. It was a Beyonce song. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Okay.
Close. Mambo number 5.
There you go. Okay, that makes sense. That's right.
All right, moving along. Here's the next question.
Coaches, my name is Cormac Sander, and I want to know what kind of weights your players lift.
Great question. I like that jersey too, man. Good looking linebacker there. So we use all sorts of implements. I'm going to talk about implements first, and I'll talk about how much too. But we use barbells, we use dumbbells. But I think one of the best things we do is use body weight. And so body weight, if you use your body weight, you can get really strong. You can do a lot of squats with just your body weight, push-ups with your body weight, and pull-ups or hanging with your hands on a bar. If you can't do pull-ups yet because you're a young guy, you just hang there and you get your grip strength going. But body weight exercises are great. And, it's interesting. Just because you're strong with a barbell, you're not really considered strong, even if you're a big guy, until you can do good push-ups and good body weight squats. And if you can do pull-ups, man, you're really considered strong. So body weight would be the top level. So it goes body weight, dumbbells, and barbells. How much? Carl, I'm going to use Carl because he has NFL type of strength. Carl could squat over 600. He could bench over 400, and he could power clean 365, I believe. But I remember Carl being able to hit multiple sets of 5 with 500 pounds. That was our big Friday lift. I'm sure Evan as well, because he's a Turk, was strong as well. So it's really neat. But yeah, it starts with body weight. That's a great question.
Awesome. All right, and our next question.
Hi, Coach Fitz. My name's Nate Hazen. I'm an employee at Flagstar Football, and I'm from McLean, and I'm a senior in high school. My question is what's the best and the smartest way to become a pro football coach, especially for people who don't necessarily have D1 talent and can't go through the playing way? Thank you.
Get around good mentors, and that would be the best advice. So get around people that, do what you want to do, volunteer. There is no, hey, I got to get a paying job. When most of the people in my field, when they got out of college, they went right and volunteered in somebody else's weight room. So they went and volunteered, down the road. I remember visiting Catholic U when I got out of college, visiting Maryland, visiting Gallaudet, and seeing what their strength coach did. Anywhere I could go, visiting some high schools in the area, in the DC area. I went to Maryland, so I remember going to Good Counsel and seeing what they were up to. Just trying to learn and meet people as you learn is really critical. So volunteer your time, and you may have to, be living on somebody's couch for a year at volunteering at a big school because you want to go to be a strength coach at Division I level. So you may have to do that. So volunteer.
Right. I think we got 2 more questions, Coach.
Yep, 2 more.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Connor Bodie. I'm a huge Giants fan. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I have a question for you. What are you looking forward to the most in your new job?
Awesome. You got to have – I tell you what, you have a lot of courage wearing that sweatshirt in Washington, D.C. I appreciate that. That shows me some love, man. Good stuff. I'm really looking forward to working with the players. And right now, how we're doing that is just how Coach Carl's doing it, Nikki and Evan. or do it with you guys in that, hey, look, it has to be this way right now. This is adversity right now. It is what it is. It's adversity, and we're going to be all better from it. Right now, we're having to do it this way, but it's better than not doing it, isn't it? So we're participating. I'm working with the Giants right now as far as communicating with the players, seeing how they're doing, mostly on a personal level, but also on a training level. And I'm really looking forward to doing that tomorrow and the next day. But at the end of the line, I'm really excited to be in the weight room with those guys and develop relationships and helping those guys get stronger and be the best they can be. So that's what I'm really looking forward to when I get to New York, is working with the players right there in person.
Awesome. And we have one final question for you.
Hey, I'm Carter Austin, and I'm from Washington, D.C.
I'm Nelson Austin, and I'm also from Washington, D.C.
And my question is, what do you do to prepare for each game?
My question is, what are some great indoor workouts you can do while we're quarantined? Peace. See you guys.
Peace, my friends. That was a great, man, that was a good couple questions there. Preparing for a game. And you'll see when you get, and this is good for the Flagstar group, you're going to see the guys that are really serious about it will get there a little early, right? A little earlier than everybody else. They'll be at the field before everybody else. They'll be moving around a little bit. Kind of like there's an old way back, just a way to go about military business was, hey, he who gets to the field first has an advantage over he who doesn't, right? And I always felt that if you can get to the field early, you get yourself mentally prepared as well as physically prepared. In the NFL, there's two buses. There's an early bus and a late bus. They both leave from the hotel. One leaves an hour before the other one. So the early bus leaves an hour before the late bus. And it's always interesting. I'm always on the first bus and the early bus because I always want to get there real early. And it's interesting to see who's on that first bus. And you know what, guys? It's usually the best players on the team. And they'll get there. They'll have their music going with their earphones, and they'll warm up a little bit before we do our warm-up. So they're already warmed up before I start warming up. And they'll kind of get their mind right, and then their body follows. So that's key right there, okay? Next question, near and dear to my heart, hill workouts. Wow. You can't find a better training tool than a hill. Can't be done. Hill is the best training tool. So if you have a hill around you, I think that was the question. What are some hill workouts? Okay. My favorite player of all time is a guy, I'm showing my age here, Walter Payton. And Walter Payton made famous. You guys could YouTube him. You could YouTube Walter Payton hill workout, and you'll see him talk about a great player and preparing. The hill will get your legs stronger, get your lungs expanded, make you have more gas in the tank than anybody else. And I would say if you find a good hill about 40 yards long, and you start off with maybe 6 to 10 of those your first time running, you build up to 20 over a long period of time, you'd be a bad man on the field. I'll tell you that.
Coach, this is awesome. Man, this is awesome. Is there something we didn't cover, or what's one thing that you'd want to kind of put in everyone's ear as they continue with life as it is?
Okay, so right now, and I'm glad you asked that. Right now, we're in a different time. We're not in school right now. We're doing virtual education, a lot of us. I would say there's two keys here. How you present yourself daily, okay? Because right now we can slack a little bit. We can, wear something that we wouldn't wear to school. We can, wear our pajamas till 2 sometimes. We can do all this. But how you present yourself matters. So I would say don't do that. I'd say get up, make your bed, okay, eat breakfast, put your clothes on. You wear, something that's present yourself well. Okay, if you're working out, it's workout clothes. If you're not, school, put your school stuff on for that Zoom. Get your mind right. Okay, actions trigger feelings, like feelings trigger actions. So, hey, if you get up, you're a little tired, and you're in a funk. Hey, get up, have breakfast, move around a little bit. Let your actions get your mind going. Okay. The next thing I would say is be in a routine. Okay, be in a routine the whole time. So, stick to routine. Get up at the same time every day. Even if you're up late the night before, so say you had to get up and say to step the night before and study or read something for your Zoom meeting the next day, still get up at the same time. Don't get off track. So if you get up at 7 every morning, get up at 7 every single morning and get your actions going, and everything else will fall into place. You set your tone. Don't let the environment set your tone right now. So routine and present yourself well and let your actions trigger your feelings.
Coach, I don't want people to get the impression that you're sleeping until 7.
No, you know what though? For these young guys, I think that'd be good to get a good night's sleep. But yeah, Carl, we know better than that, you know.
Yeah. Coach Fitz gives Jocko Willing a wake-up phone call when he finishes with workout.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what. This has been exciting for me, and you know, and I kind of wish this has been awesome. Those Zoom questions were awesome because I got a chance to see the fellas asking the questions. That was kind of fun. So that was awesome. But I really appreciate being on the show.
Coach, really appreciate the time. Everyone will benefit immensely from this. So thank you again.
My pleasure. I learned a lot too. And thanks for those great questions, and thanks for having me.
Great. Catch you real soon, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.